Hey everyone, today I'm going to be joined by Johnny Eblen. He's the new Bellator Middleweight Champ. He wrestled in Missouri and now trains in South Florida at ATT. And he's going to be joining and sharing his story with how he found FP, some of the struggles that he was going through trying to, climb his way as a MMA fighter, and how FP has helped him not just with the training, but also a little bit of the mindset and some other behaviors that he's been able to implement just throughout the learning experience, and how that has made a difference. So let's get him on here. Yo, yo.
Yo, what's up?
How's it going?
Good, how are you? Let me get this set up a little bit better.
Yeah, that works.
'Cause it's, What's up, man? How you doing?
Doing well. So, thanks for coming on. I've seen you've been doing a bunch of interviews. Probably, you've said you're probably not getting the attention or the what would you call it? The recognition,
The recognition, the publicity.
for your skills and what you've done. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
but you have been doing some interviews, so I appreciate you kind of taking the time
Of course.
to come on here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of something I wanted to start with is you have mentioned that the belt doesn't really mean as much, and that's something that people tend to kind of focus on, and then that's what draws their attention to you, and that's what makes you maybe more, or they want to listen to you more. So can you go a little bit into that, like how it was, how has things have really changed before you got the belt versus now?
I will say some people treat me a little bit differently, but outside of that, how I go about every day, it's about the same. Nothing really feels that much different. When it comes into terms of like what I actually contribute, I don't contribute very much. I just contribute entertainment, and then the other thing I could do is use my likeness to support things that would make society better, and that's kind of what I'm wanting to do with my image, is to push relevant info and push good things on society. And that might be the reason why I don't get the push that I should. But that's why I felt like the belt really wasn't like a huge thing for me. It's like, relative to what's going on in the world, this is literally nothing. Like this is not even that big of a contribution. If anything, the biggest thing that made me kind of get a little bit emotional was my mom was there. I got to see her. She got to see me, win my best athletic achievement, and she doesn't even support me fighting. She hates fighting. So for some reason that kind of clicked with me, like that she was there to support me even though she hated it. But like winning that belt kind of, it was cool, but there's bigger fish to fry. There's more things I want to do. And that's just a step in the right direction, I guess.
Yeah. So how did you, I guess, going back before you even came to ATT, you said you wrestled in Missouri, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How was that?
So I wrestled back in Kansas City. That's where I wrestled little kids, did Perler, worked with Perler, Tony Perler, wrestled at Park Hill High School, ended up being a state champ, went to Missouri. And Missouri was a real, it was a real experience. I wasn't like the best kid on the lineup. I always had to work to get into the lineup. I think I started my junior and senior year, but I was dealing with injuries the whole time. A real grind. You know what I mean? They're all about getting that 5 years out of you. So super hard training. A lot of grinding, if that makes any sense. Not necessarily smart work all the time, but definitely hard work.
Yeah. And then what got you into after college starting to go into MMA?
Actually, I had no ambitions to go into MMA. I ended up moving to Florida for a job. My coach, Brian Smith, his brother is the director of operations at a pavement company down here. And I moved down to try to become an account manager, and ended up doing that for a year. Didn't really like having a normal job. It was mundane for me, being a college or being an athlete my whole life, and then trying to do like a mundane job. It was tough for me. But I was also coaching wrestling at the same time. Ended up running into Steve Mako. He's a head coach at ATT, and ended up wrestling with him. And he was like, "Hey man, you're pretty good. You should come down to ATT and train a little bit. You don't have to fight, but like you should come through. We need like that wrestling look. We don't have very many wrestlers." And so I went and checked it out and started grappling here and there, started learning how to box, and ended up quitting my job. And, I began fighting, and now I'm here, so kind of like random, it's kind of random.
Yeah, and you said you had some injuries while you were wrestling, and then did they stop? Like after you stopped competing, did it kind of, some of those things go away?
I would say they went away because I wasn't really, they didn't go away. I still had pains. I still had shoulder problems. They just weren't as bad because I wasn't forced to like compete all the time or train hard all the time. Like I didn't really have to put my body under that much stress. I would say I was slowing down my degeneration slightly because I wasn't being forced to do 3 a days or 2 a days or, preseasons were hard. Used to do like 6-mile runs, and then after the runs we would do squats with partners on our back. Then we would do stadiums, and it's some of the training in college was pretty insane. Made me mentally tough, that's for sure.
Right.
But I would say since I got away a little bit from that, after college I was doing like traditional like lifting, like almost like bodybuilding lifting, and honestly, it made me feel like it made me feel like less of an athlete. It got me bigger. Like I got like bigger and like I would say relatively stronger to lifting those weights, but I did not feel like a good athlete. Like if you told me to go play basketball, I would be terrible. And like I remember when I started doing MMA, I was very stiff, and then I ended like I kind of like was still doing the traditional lifting and doing MMA, and I was like, I don't know, I just felt stiff all the time. Didn't feel like I was moving that well.
And then what kind of injuries did you start experiencing after? Was it like right away as you started training MMA, or was it after a couple months? What was that?
I would say, well, I had injuries previous to that. I had an ankle surgery at the end of my high school career. I had an ankle injury. Had to get surgery on that. Wrestled through college, ended up getting a knee surgery and a shoulder surgery. So coming out of college, I've already had 3 surgeries. That year off, I didn't really get hurt, but I wasn't really like doing anything to solve my problems. I was just like trying to get big, quote unquote, big and strong. Then when I started training MMA, I mean, I would say my first real injury happened about a year into it. I ended up dislocating my shoulder again and had to get another surgery on my shoulder. And I want to say a year or a year and a half after that, I ended up tearing my knee. But in that process, in between that process of me messing my shoulder up and me messing my knee up, actually I found FP, and I actually met with Naughty. I think I went up to Ithaca. I met him. I met Pablo, and I don't think I met Johnny. I forget who else. But in that process, I was in constant shoulder pain. So this was before I hurt my knee. So I was like, this is after my shoulder surgery. I was doing traditional therapy, like PT. Nothing was really helping. It's been like 9 months, and like I'm just in chronic pain. My shoulder's just always hurting. So I'm like looking on Instagram, running to FP because they're posting like really cool results. I'm like, there's something to this, because I was looking at a lot of other things, but they were very like, it was just like, this is like PT, but like with some sugar on top. Like it like didn't really like, it seemed like it didn't really pose any like solutions. Like it just looked like it was like a different thing, but it's the same thing. It was like it's like the training was based on analogy, like, oh, like we've seen this done before, so we'll just like redo it, but it's just like with a different bow or something like that. It's wrapped differently.
Yeah. And what was your thinking even before you kind of started looking for solutions? What was your thinking with your shoulder hurting, having the surgery, and you still, I'm sure you were still doing some of the traditional training. Was it hurting while you were doing that? What was
It was hurting
your
all the
thought
time.
process then?
Chronic pain, always hurting, like, and like nothing was helping. Like literally trying everything I could. And actually, I ended up, the reason why I think Nani invited me out is because like I was literally sending him videos asking him if I was doing this right. Like I think it was a contralateral step press. I was like, am I doing this right? Like I remember like him sending me like little tidbits back and forth. And then he like eventually asked me like, hey man, you want to come out here? I'm like, yeah. Fucking bought a ticket, was out there the next couple of days. And after I met him, and after I kind of got like I would say, you know, after he kind of got me into like sprinkling a little bit of his mind, and I got to see it, and I got to like kind of work with him. I literally went back and I quit doing the traditional training like completely. I was like, this is completely different than what I was doing, and what I was doing was hurting me. So I did a complete switch. Like I never did a traditional training thing ever since. You know what I mean? I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, some people when they first find out or do FP, they think that it's something. They think it's either, oh, it's just for rehab, or it's just for athletes, or oh, it's just for mobility, and then they want to mix it up with other things. But
I kind of saw that early. Yeah, I saw that early. It's like this is just biomechanics. Like this has nothing to do with, you know, oh, this is just for like PT. Oh, this is just for like movement, or this is just for like agility or whatever. Like it's biomechanics, and I clearly saw like, oh, my biomechanics are fucked up and I need to fix them. And the best methodology is FP. I saw it early. I just didn't understand quite yet, and I ended up having to I had to do my own research. I had to read a few books. Ended up reading Tyranny of Words, Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers, Sapiens, and it kind of helped me understand what I was seeing more.
Yeah, so go a little bit into, so you met with Naughty, you had the shoulder issue, and then you started doing FP, right? So go into that, I guess that phase where you were doing a little bit of FP and then you ended up hurting your knee.
Yeah, so I was fully bought in with FP as a training system, but my problem was I still had a lot of dysfunctional behaviors I needed to change. So after that, like switching the training system was easy. For me, the hard part is changing my behaviors. So I was still partaking in like partying. I was smoking weed all the time. I would drink, not getting good sleep, you know, not getting morning sun, not getting enough sun. There was a lot of other things. My diet was kind of still sketch. There was a lot of things I needed to change with my behaviors. And I mean, I wasn't prioritizing a lot of things that I do now.
Yeah. So, you know, dysfunctional sometimes can be kind of a trigger word for people. So why would you say that those behaviors are dysfunctional? Go maybe through the weed or the not getting enough sun. How does that, like step by step, how does that become a behavior that doesn't allow you to maybe get to the end result, or to add to the whole?
Yeah. So if it's not promoting regeneration, I would say it's probably a dysfunction. Like, I guess some people could justify, oh, well, weed helps me do this, that, and it helps me sleep. But it's like, but you're using a substance. Like, I think you need to use less substances and utilize sobriety to become regenerative. Obviously, getting out and getting sun, I mean, that's pretty it's almost like common knowledge now. You know, even a lot of doctors are, you know, pushing it. I know some are saying, oh, it's going to give you cancer, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, getting sun, drinking good water, good, clean, filtered water, eating properly, you know, not eating processed foods, not eating seed oils. I just try to stay away from the substances, because it's like if you start becoming dependent on a substance, I don't think that's going to promote regeneration at the end of the day, because you're going to have to use another substance to counteract that substance. So it's like now you're playing chemistry, and like, no, that's not going to help you gain homeostasis. Like you need to be able to gain homeostasis within your own body without using substances.
Yeah, and most of the time they tend to be numbing to some extent.
Yeah.
And with FP, you have to become very aware of behaviors and micro behaviors. And if you're numbing yourself all the time,
yes,
it can be very hard to learn what you're doing and if it's actually helping you or not.
Yeah, exactly. Oh damn, dude, I had to like get rid of this wasp nest. I don't use this umbrella that much, and dude, they're like attacking me kind of. Sorry.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So then you were kind of partaking in those behaviors, and then go on.
Ended up changing pretty much everything about my life. Started getting the results I wanted to see. Still an ongoing battle with some behaviors, obviously. It's not like an overnight thing. It's like a constant battle with my dysfunctions, whether it be with my biomechanics or my behaviors. But I think the best thing is I understand I have the tools to fix them, and I understand like where I want to be at the end of the day, and having that I guess knowledge and path is really helping me like stay focused and stay on board, and you know, really like constantly every day like working to get better.
Yeah, we were talking about a little bit of your training and how FP has allowed you to see problem solve, but also I'm guessing visualize in an extent how much you can actually get better with your MMA training. So going a little bit into that, what's the main thing that you feel like Functional Patterns has helped you in regards to improving with your MMA, whether it's wrestling, striking, etc.?
It's helped me kind of blend my, like, it's hard to explain. So it's like with MMA, it's like, okay, you learn how to wrestle, then you learn BJJ, then you learn striking, and it's like then you have to like put it together. There's some guys that kind of teach how to blend I guess techniques from different disciplines, but they don't quite understand, or they don't quite have the complete like vocabulary to explain like exactly how to do something. And FP really like objectively breaks it down, like, hey, you need to internally rotate your femur when you're here. You need to shift your ribs to the right here. Like there's literally like video of guys throwing punches like Floyd Mayweather or Izzy, or you can watch Kyle Dake wrestle. And well, for me, I watch a lot of MMA and see how those guys, you know, move through space, especially like the, you know, top 10 guys. And I see how they blend their techniques, and I see what they're doing, and I can literally slow down video and see what they're doing with their body to propel themselves through space, and being able to see it and replicate it, because I understand biomechanics to a certain degree, and I understand how to replicate that movement because of FP. And you can literally chamber movements, and I think that's what makes FP so freaking awesome. It's like I can literally change my biomechanics to move more like guys that I'm watching on film.
Yeah, and my experience with boxing or kind of doing any martial arts, it's most of the coaches will tell you, sometimes they'll even do something and they're telling you, let's say if they're telling you to throw a jab and a cross, they'll explain it one way, maybe that's how they learn it or that's how they see it, but they're actually doing a lot of different things with the way, like you said, when they shift their head or their rib cage.
They're not accounting for everything. That's the thing.
Or
like,
the sequencing,
yes,
they can't account.
the sequencing behind it. There's so many other aspects behind it that they're probably doing right, but they don't understand what they're doing right, so they can't tell you exactly everything that you're doing. So no, that's why it's nice to kind of understand, like utilizing FP to kind of understand, like, oh shit, he's doing this, this, and this as well, but he doesn't understand that he's just doing it. He's more focused on, you know, the hip turn, but there's also like 20 other things I needed to account for to throw a punch like that. So yeah, a good point.
Yeah. And then in terms of so we talked about the physical or the body of the movement. In terms of, we touched a little bit on it, but in terms of your mindset, anything else that you feel like has changed since you started doing FP, since you started kind of changing your outlook with maybe even not just how you train, but also how you live your life? Because as a
Yeah.
professional fighter, there's a lot of pressures that you're under in terms of whether it's in the training room, outside, before fights, after fights, etc.
I would say the biggest thing is I've just become more mechanistic. Like everything that I try to partake in, I'm trying to utilize to become better. Also, I don't take things so much. I don't take things so seriously and as personal anymore. I don't know what it is. Um, like I said, like winning that belt didn't mean much because I knew relative to what's going on in the world, it's not that big of a deal. And I felt that when I walked into the cage. You can see me. I'm smiling. I'm like, this is like, not gonna lie, it's fucking cool. You know, like a bunch of people are watching me to fight another killer in a cage, but it's like the mindset of me. I was so relaxed, man. Like I was like, man, this doesn't really matter. This is just fun. This is a game. Obviously, it's a game with a lot of consequences, but that's why I trained so hard. But I felt like, you know, it's not that big of a deal at the end of the day. It really isn't. It's a blip in the universe. It's a blip in my career. It's a blip in human history. So I don't know. I think FP's kind of helped me just think more mechanistically at the end of the day and utilize my environment to help me and not take things so seriously.
Yeah. In another interview that I saw you did recently, you were mentioning how you used wine as a tool because you weren't recovering properly. Can you go a little bit into that? How that may have helped you, or what was that like?
I think it was a slippery slope. Um, I was a buddy of mine was saying because I was having trouble going to bed. I was doing everything right. Like, well, there's probably something I was missing, but you know, getting proper sun, getting morning sun, was making sure I was eating the right food. You know, making sure I wasn't eating too much, not eating too late. You name it. You know, turning off lights after the sun went down, and I was still having trouble going to sleep, and I wasn't sure why. But my buddy was like saying, "Hey, I've been having a drink at like 7, just one, not getting drunk or anything, and it's been helping my recovery." He's like, "It's anecdotal, but you can try it." I'm like, "Fuck it, I'll try it. Whatever. Let's see." And I would say I tried about like 7 times, 7 to 10 times. I would say about half the time my recovery was better. So I was like, I don't know. But I felt like partaking in that behavior made it easier after I won to partake in the behavior again. So after this fight, I ended up having like a few here and there, and normally I wouldn't. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's a slippery slope, you know, playing around with substances and trying to utilizing them as tools, but they can become habitual at the end of the day. And the same thing with caffeine, same thing with weed, same thing with any type of drug.
Yeah, when you talk about behaviors, we're our brains kind of create an associative memory with those behaviors. So when we have those, like if you're under stress and you take a substance, then you're gonna more likely go
Yeah,
back to that because you've basically teaching yourself that behavior.
yeah, makes
So yeah,
sense.
that's an interesting
And I think, see,
experience.
I try not to be so hard on myself when I do fuck up, but it's like, at least I understand. Like some people don't. Like I literally go out, like, and I see people, and I'm like, fuck, they think this is normal, and I'm like, that's a problem. You know, they're not trying to correct the behavior at the end of the day. You know, I don't
Yeah,
know. It's
and
just wild to me. It's wild to me.
yeah, one drink a night or or you testing it 7 times, it's not going to be the same as you doing it for the next 5 years or 10 years or
Exactly.
anything like that either.
Exactly.
So
Or like
you're
drinking every weekend, or like,
yeah, you're able to
yeah, you get what I'm
discern.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah, you're able to discern when something might have helped you temporarily, and you might have used it, but not necessarily how you need to keep doing it and keep using it,
Yeah, exactly.
and then creating more problems down the line.
Yeah.
Yeah. So going back to you saying that, the belt is not that big of a deal. What you're doing, it doesn't really contribute too much to society. You had when you fought Salter at the post-fight interview, you gave a shout out to the innovators, the plumbers, the electricians, and the people who do the dirty work. So
Yeah.
can you talk a little bit more about that? Just kind of expand on that mindset and how you view yourself as a fighter, because it can be kind of
Yeah.
we overvalue athletes in society.
Yeah. I agree.
So I think it'd be good for you as an athlete and as a top level athlete to maybe expand. I know, like you said, it doesn't get you as much press and attention, and it seems like people don't even want don't even want to question you too much on it. They don't want you to expand too much because it's
Like, I don't want
it's
to
not
think
good for
about
business.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess a lot of the people I mean, look at the phone we're using right now, bro. Like, and like
You cut
literally
off for
like
a sec.
this here oh my, yeah, it went like low power mode. But
Okay, go
I
ahead.
would
Yeah, you
say
said
like,
look at the phone.
what's that? Can you hear me?
I said you said you were talking about the phone. Yeah, yeah, you're good. Yeah, I'm
Oh
cutting
shit,
off.
you're cutting out. Hold
Can you
on,
hear me?
one sec.
Okay.
Am I good?
Yeah, you're good.
You're cutting off. Sorry. Um.
That's right. Yeah, you cut off for a sec. You were talking about the phone, so you said look at the
Yeah.
phone.
So like, I think people take their reality for granted. Like, for instance, the phone we're using, the satellites that we're using to even do this, the chair I'm sitting in, the toilet I take a shit in every morning, just even the plumbing to flush that shit so it doesn't like sit at my house. You know what I mean? Like, I think people that do that stuff for society don't get enough credit. People that actually do the work to make society function every day get zero credit. Yet people that don't do much for society get a lot, like celebrities. And I don't know. I want to be that guy that you know uses my likeness to support people that actually help society at the end of the day. That are a net positive on society, that are actually solving problems. And I just think it's a big issue that they don't get the credit that they deserve. And that's why, like, if I don't get that much credit, it's okay. Like, I don't really care. What I do is kind of useless, but it's fun. But whatever. I'm an entertainer. But if I can use my likeness to kind of point the direction of like, hey, these guys are actually the problem solvers. These guys are actually trying to do good things in society. Like, that's the least I could do.
Yeah, I agree. I think we tend to overvalue. Yeah, it seems like it's an easy way to distract ourselves as well, and to if someone points the finger when I'm behaving a certain way that might not be useful for me or for other people, then we can focus on if Johnny Eblen is gonna defend his title, or if he's gonna do well when he goes to the UFC, or
Who
if he's
cares
gonna
if I do?
yeah, if it's gonna
Like,
if you're gonna
it
be
doesn't
Izzy,
matter.
or
Like,
if
that's the thing.
yeah.
And
So
that's the approach I'm going to take every time I step in there, and I'm still going to fuck people up. That's the funny part. Like, it's like I don't know, man. It's just so weird. It's like ass backwards. Like all of like humans' priorities are ass backwards, and it's just like, ah, it's like I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, so I think it's great that you're talking about this, and it also seems like what you're doing is you're you're working on a skill, which is MMA, and you're concerned about getting better at that skill. And if it gets you to what people value, then it's all right. But if it doesn't, you're you're focusing on, one, developing the skill, two, staying healthy. Yeah, you're prioritizing you being a human, because
Yeah.
after your career is over, you're still going to have to be a human. And do you want to be someone that keeps contributing to the, like some people become whatever podcasters,
Yeah.
or they just kind of stay in the same industry or field that doesn't really get much done? Or can you become an asset and use your platform and do something else,
Use my
and
platform,
contribute?
utilize my resources, anything to try to, like, put it in relevant spots and point people in the right direction. And yeah, man, that's kind of what I want to do, and just stay healthy and stay moving well, like, and stay young,
Yeah, and to put it in a few words, that's kind of what FP is about. We're trying to help people that are gonna contribute to society, or that already contribute to society, to stay healthy and to live a long life, and to be able to do whatever it is that they do in order to benefit society.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not about the fancy moves or the biomechanics.
It's just
It
a
goes much
byproduct
deeper.
of it. It's a byproduct. There's a bigger picture, and I think a lot of people don't see it. And I'm here to just try to. Oh, dude, these wasps are crazy, bro. Fucking bombing me. But yeah, there's a bigger picture at the end of the day, and we're just trying to turn more people into net positives and trying to make the world a better place.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, I think we covered it all, man. Anything else that you wanted to? Oh, one more thing, actually. What do you think about so we talked about movement and you getting better at your skill, right? But what about the strength? What about the conditioning? What about the reflex training? What about all
Oh,
those? Do you do anything else
no,
other than work on your skills? And
no,
can you talk
no.
about that?
I think it's just fringe stuff. Like, it's people trying to get an edge. Oh, hey, look, it's different. Oh, look at this. It helps with this. Oh, this helps with that. It's like, at the end of the day, if you're working on your biomechanics to become more, what's the word?
Efficient?
Efficient. Yeah, efficient. You're gonna get all those things. You're gonna get agility. You're gonna get reflexes. You're gonna get strength and power. You're gonna get endurance. What I personally do, all I personally do is I train MMA and I do FP. That's it. Don't do anything else. I think everything else is a waste of my time.
Sweet. Yeah. I think that was the only thing that we missed. Awesome, man. So yeah, I appreciate you coming on, and looking forward to seeing you. The entertaining part is cool, but also seeing
Yeah.
what else you do outside of that.
Yeah, man. Of course. Looking forward to just having fun and pushing what I want to push.
Oh yeah. All right, man.
All right. Take care,
Appreciate you
brother.
coming on again. Yep.
Yep.
See ya.
No problem.